Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today we need to take a look at what is going on with Pokémon Card 151. You see, ladies and gentlemen, things are getting, they're getting a little bit silly over in Japan. Pokémon cards, look, Pokemon's been popular for a long time. And we had a whole thing a little while ago where Pokemon cards in the UK and US, Europe, etc. think around about the time Shining Fates came out. Demand was massively outstripping supply. There were issues, frankly. And things were being scalped, it was hard to get products, etc. And then Pokemon upped production. And since then, with a couple of little exceptions here and there, generally speaking, it's been a little bit better. But we've seen that in Japan lately, and it's not really a supply issue per se, although obviously it kind of is, but it's really just demand. It's not so much that Pokemon are like, oh, let's not bother. It's that demand is so high that even Pokemon's really quite impressive supply is not keeping up. So, yes, obviously there is an element of a supply issue here, it's supply and demand. What I mean is, it's not that Pokemon are failing to supply a reasonable amount, it is that the demand for Pokemon card products in Japan has risen to an unreasonable level. Certainly for Snow Hazard and Clayburst, we saw that Snow Hazard was kind of alright, it wasn't the hardest one to get hold of, and Clayburst just got dumb. Like literally to the point where Pokemon have actually gone now and put up Clayburst as a made-to-order product, because it was just selling out absolutely everywhere. They didn't do it with Snow Hazard, but they did do it with Clayburst. They literally put it up made to order, so everybody with an address in Japan, and if you didn't, you had to use a proxy address, would be able to actually go and order a box. Well, one of the issues we saw for Snow Hazard and Clayburst was people just queuing up at midnight, and I think it's fair to say the queues were getting a little bit silly. Now, the lovely Ethan Heggie, huge fan of Ethan, obviously he's on the official commentary team for the Pokemon Company, done a bunch of events. I love Ethan, he's a lovely dude, worked with him a bunch, big fan. Well, he tweeted out this image. The next Pokemon set, talking about Snow Hazard and Clayburst, the next Pokemon set drops tomorrow, 14th of April, and the midnight release lines are already insane. This might be the most hyped up and difficult to obtain, product-wise, set the game has ever seen in Japan. And yeah, it absolutely was ridiculous. The crowd here is just absurd. And this was at midnight, let's be clear. This was the midnight release. But then we also had some people who were quote tweeting, giving a little bit more detail here. Like Madoka, who retweeted it with a great photo to tell how it is a disaster to buy a sealed box, although the seal would be broken in most cases when purchasing in front of the customer. This is to prevent resealing. Now, obviously, the whole point of that, of course, is we're really trying to crack down on people buying them just to resell. So what you do here is you break the seal so that you're not actually able to then just resell it, because that would obviously be, if the products are hard to get hold of in the first place, what we really don't want is a situation where some people are literally buying it just to resell, because then the people who actually want it are just having to buy from resellers, and that's ridiculous. So we've had issues before, including in the most recent set, Snow Hazard and Clayburst. Now, with that as a little bit of a background, we then need to go, well, hang on a second. Snow Hazard and Clayburst were silly. Pokemon Card 151 is going to be so much more popular than Clayburst. And, don't get me wrong, Clayburst had Iono, and Iono is a ridiculous card in terms of value. It is one that is going absolutely silly. It's one of the most sought after and expensive cards we've seen in a long time in the Pokemon TCG. As a side note, do remember we've got both the full art and the special illustration rare of Iono. And, luckily I managed to pull the full art, which was lovely. The special illustration rare, no. but I managed to pull the full art. I don't think I can be particularly upset. I'm using a German version, by the way, of the Iono, just because it's the cleanest look we've got at the artwork. Please bear in mind that it's a Japanese version, which is super expensive. The German version will not be. I just thought, this is the version we could actually have a bit of a look at. So I thought that was the best way to go about it. So that's what's going on then with these products at the moment. But then we need to go and have a look at Pokémon Card 151. Because this is a set which is very much themed around the original 151 Pokémon. It is a Gen 1 set, that's kind of the point. And that's a little bit of a problem, because there is a Charizard. Now, to be fair, we don't know that there's a special illustration rare Charizard. I think it's probably fair to assume that there will be, but it's not actually confirmed at the moment. All we know is that there is a Charizard in there, but does anyone realistically think Pokemon are going to, not take the opportunity to get a special illustration rare Charizard? Like, of course they are. Of course they're going to do that. So, yeah. And then, of course, you've got the other Gen 1ers, your Venusaur and your Blastoise. You've got Mew that looks like a really, really good card. And basically, this is going to be a set that everybody's after. And then we go back and go, well, hang on a second. Didn't we just say that Snow Hazard and Clayburst was ridiculous? Now we're introducing a more popular set, what is likely to be a more popular set. Bearing in mind, we've all got, well, that's not true. An awful lot of people, like myself, have just massive, massive nostalgia for the original 151 for Gen 1. So, yeah. It's going to be a set which is getting a bit silly. So what are Pokemon actually doing about it? What are they trying to make sure they're doing to stop this getting silly? Well, they've actually gone and put out a plea. They've actually gone and published something to say, would you be kind enough to be good here? Now, it's all Google translated, you'll have to forgive me. I can actually read some of this, but my Japanese is not good enough to read a memo like this. However, I can read bits of it and that makes me happy. Regarding the continued shortage of Pokemon card game-related products, it has become difficult for customers to purchase them. We apologise for the inconvenience. Regarding the Enhanced Expansion Pack Pokemon Card 151, released on June the 16th, from the viewpoint of safety, the release date we have decided to set the sale start time on the release date so that customers do not go to the retail store late at night. They are actually giving proper start dates, start times for when these products are going to be sold, because they don't want a bunch of people queuing up late at night. Now, with an impending trip to Japan for the World Championships, I have been looking into things like how safe is Japan generally, and everything I hear from, everything reading I'm doing is that Japan is a very safe country even at night. Having said that, do you really want a bunch of people, including presumably young people at whom the card game is primarily aimed, queuing up at midnight in a giant throng of people? I'm guessing probably not. And what they've done is they've listed start dates for 7 a.m. for all three of the products, because bearing in mind we've got both the booster packs and booster boxes, and then we've got the card files, one of which is the Pokeball card file, and one of which is the Venusaur, Blastoise, and Charizard card file. Those are where you get the little card file, the little binder, with your free promo cards of Charmander, Squirtle, and Venusaur. So Pokemon have actually come out and sent a message round to stores basically saying, please don't sell at midnight. We don't want midnight queues of giant crowds of people. What we really want here is people being sensible, opening at 7, and look, let's be perfectly clear, Pokemon Card 151 as a set is going to be ludicrously popular. There's no way around it. This is going to be a spectacularly popular set. It is going to go a little bit silly. Nothing we can do about that, alright? But by trying to get people to open at 7 a.m, they are at least trying to make sure it's a little more reasonable and we're queuing up in the morning rather than in the middle of the night. And I know at this stage there's a bunch of people who like saying stuff like, why don't Pokemon just print more? And I've made this point before, but let me make it again. The Pokemon Company, like every company that makes card games, is a profit-making company. They are a company whose goal is to make products and provide services, sell those products and services and make money by doing so. Their goal is to make money. They have a product like Pokémon Card 151 that is going to make money. They know that if they keep printing, they are going to keep making money. Obviously, they are printing as much as they can. And all these things they're doing, like made to order for Clayburst, like the lottery sales they're doing for things like Pokémon Card 151, for instance, they are doing all of this to try and mitigate. They're trying to make as many as they possibly can. We saw that the lottery for Clayburst initially actually had 2 waves rather than 1, so that they could make extra product and have more time to make it and send more out. They are going as hard as they can into the production, but there comes a point where the demand is so ludicrously high that it is a little bit silly. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's happening, that's what's going on, and now it's over to you guys. Tell me what you think about this. Tell me how excited you are for Pokemon Card 151. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about Pokemon and card games and Pokemon card games, all kinds of fun things. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, and all kinds of fun things. And of course, you can get shout-outs on the channel, like the lovely Dojo, who is one of our newer supporters on Patreon, but is a very lovely person, I think at least. So shout out to them for the support. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.